Massive Baltimore fatberg is causing sewers to overflow. A massively disgusting fatberg has been found lurking in the sewers of Baltimore. The lump of congealed fat, wet wipes, and other stuff you shouldn't flush down the toilet is growing and causing sewers to back up. The Baltimore Department of Public Works said on Monday that it discovered the monstrosity earlier this month between Baltimore Penn Station and the 1700 block of Charles Street. So far, the fatberg has been responsible for dry weather sewer outflow that discharged 1.2 million gallons of sewage into the Jones Falls. The fatberg has mostly been scraped off and transported to a landfill. Apparently, Bmore has quite a few fatbergs lying around its sewers, although the other ones are smaller in size. Ugh. Do you smell that?
Gargantuan fatberg blocking East London sewer. An enormous fatberg was found to be blocking a sewer in East London. Wait, what the hell is a fatberg? A 200-meter-long fatberg, weighing 130 tons, has been discovered blocking a sewer line in Whitechapel, London. A fatberg is a giant mass of congealed fat, oils, wet naps, diapers, sanitary napkins, and other things that should not be flushed down the toilet or washed down the sink. The fatberg weighs as much as 10.5 school buses, or a blue whale. The length of the fatberg is actually 6 meters longer than the 244-meter Tower Bridge. Workers began removing the mass this week. 8 workers will use high-pressure hoses to break up the mass, then suck up the pieces into trucks and transport the waste to a recycling station. Thames water officials said it was one of the biggest blockages they had ever seen before, and that it would take 3 weeks to remove. And that sounds really disgusting.
Indian politician falls into sewer while visiting slums. On May 16th, parliamentarian Poonamban Madam was visiting constituents in a slum neighborhood of Jamnagar, a city in western India. She left covered in blood and filthy waste after tumbling into a sewer when the ground beneath her feet gave way during a media interview. The awful moment was captured on video. As she was on site to discuss a demolition taking place in the village, the 41-year-old MP happened to be standing on a fragile, thin sheet of concrete. The footbridge was built by slum dwellers shortly before she arrived, over top of a sewage drain. When a crowd of her supporters gathered around her, the footbridge couldn't handle the weight of so many people and soon collapsed. Falling 8 feet down into the sewer, she and a group of others were badly injured, though no deaths have been reported. The MP was quickly rushed to a local hospital to treat a 4-inch gash on her head, as well as injuries to her shoulder and foot. Following initial treatment, she was airlifted to another hospital in Mumbai and is expected to make a full recovery shortly.
Cooking oil in China is recycled from the gutters. Chinese authorities have battled to get rid of gutter oil in the country's kitchens for years, cracking down on illegal oil production rings since 2011. But now it seems the black market oil in street-side stalls could be used to power up airplane engines. With Chinese cooking being so heavy on the oil, some enterprising people thought up a cheap way to produce it, by recycling garbage. First, they scoop up waste containing used oil or animal fat from sewers, gutters, or dumpsters and take it to processing plants. After the mixture is refined and processed, the oil is repackaged and sold to vendors and small restaurants at below-market prices. As reprocessed sewage, gutter oil contains carcinogens, which may lead to cancer and other health problems. But with the disgusting oil served up in cheap street eats, unsuspecting foodies may be none the wiser. Other countries have long used recycled oil not for cooking, but for industrial purposes, something China only caught on to in recent years. In 2014, Boeing partnered with a Chinese aircraft company to turn gutter oil into sustainable biofuel. After a Hainan Airlines flight flew from Shanghai to Beijing last March on a 50-50 mix of gutter oil and jet fuel, China might very well turn gutter oil into gold.
Raccoon freed after getting head stuck in drain. A raccoon found itself in a bit of a tight spot after a too tiny sewer grate got in the way of freedom. Folks at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Northampton, Massachusetts, chanced upon the critter on Wednesday and figured he needed a hand. The little guy's head was poking out from a hole in a sewer grate, and he looked absolutely distraught. So an animal control officer was called in to help him get unstuck. She lifted the metal grate out first, and then with some elbow grease and actual grease, finally managed to free him. The furry fellow looked like he was still reeling from shock when the officer wrapped him in a towel, but he was uninjured, just probably a lot oily. But sweet freedom.